I always want to approach things objectively. It's always the best idea. Hey, it's your buddy Moojuicemajik here. And I've done some videos about MrBeast, about some of the allegations against him, and I've done some videos about the person making the allegations, dogpack404, Dawson, I believe is his name. And it's been a while since I looked too much into it. I had someone suggest this video to me. They said, hey, you know, you should look at this being that you've been making videos about it. I like to get both sides of every story. This isn't like a MrBeast coming out and saying something, although I feel like Oompaville might have something. It looks like according to Twitter or X or whatever, Elon, damn it, because I do follow him on X. So it looks like we might have some kind of MrBeast statement on this entire thing. And I'm glad Oompaville is the one to do it because the guy's pretty thorough and pretty level-headed. I like his content. But let's see what this fellow has to say. They said, hey, check this dude out. I think his name is Soggy Cereal. And I started watching it for a minute or so, and then I realized I should just make a video about it and just react to it. It might be the best way to do it. That way I'm being sincere in whatever comes forward. The person that suggested this to me didn't tell me anything really about what was transpiring or what was being said. He just said I should really watch it. So let's go on this journey together, shall we?
Yes. You're pushing back on everything that we're saying. So
well, because you're trying to fire me, and I want to work at this company.
I'm the CEO of this company. If I'm talking, don't interrupt.
And I've been trying to get to this point.
If I'm talking, don't interrupt.
For a long time.
I've worked with people like that that interrupt you when you're the manager. It's not good. It's a pain in the ass.
I was the manager of dogpack404 for a time being.
If you had to describe the working conditions when Dawson was working with you in ideation with one word, what word would it be?
This is a long-ass video. We're not going to watch this whole video. I'll watch it.
Why did you make that joke?
Actively right now, by the videos that Dawson is making, he is actively hurting the philanthropy that is helping thousands and millions of lives.
Those are all MrBeast employees, though, bro.
Oh, so you want to cheaply manipulate people by imitating Content Cop? I'll show you imitating Content Cop.
Okay, so I did watch this part, and I seriously still don't get the Content Cop reference, so forgive me. I'm too much of an elder millennial to get it, I guess.
This video won't just be about this alleged fraudulent and manipulative asshole. It'll also be about this confirmed fraudulent and manipulative asshole. Dogpack404,
okay.
Also known as Dawson French, and his victims of manipulation. For the people who have not been exposed to his...
Calling Rosanna a victim of manipulation, I feel like, is a stretch. Jake Weddle, it sounds like Jake's fire kind of died out after MrBeast actually talked to him. I watched some follow-up stuff that Jake had posted, and it sounded like MrBeast made contact with him and tried to make good on what had happened. It sounded like he was sincere. Even Jake made it sound like MrBeast was sincere. El Jimmy over there. So that, you know, I'm going to cut that out and say, well, maybe not manipulation. Rosanna, though, she has an axe to grind against MrBeast for other things involved with MrBeast. So I don't know if it's manipulation. That might be a strong term. Now, Dogpack, he produced some content that I thought was really interesting and that seemed very sincere to me, very well put together. And I said, okay, this is quite possible. If this is the case, this is really damning. But then he made another video that I saw. I think it was the third video. And I was like, whichever video was him and Rosanna talking about that picture of Ivanka Trump. And I was like, she's 18. What are you guys doing? That's not okay. You don't make accusations like that. There's no way they didn't know that picture wasn't her when she was older. So it's getting hit or miss. I have a feeling the reason that this video was suggested is because there's going to be maybe some confirmation to debunk some more of Dogpack's claims, which is what it looks like, obviously. Propaganda.
French is an ex-MrBeast employee who worked there for about 3 weeks, and after being fired, made or worked on videos filled with lies about MrBeast. And I became suspicious of Dogpack404 after he called me overdramatic for not wanting to spread serious accusations with unsubstantiated...
Okay, sorry, I don't mean to cut it off. This is about... I cut off a little bit after this last time. I kind of want to read what this actually says.
Worked there for about 3 weeks.
Okay, worked there for... I saw that part.
And after being fired, made or worked on videos filled with lies about MrBeast. And I became suspicious of Dogpack404
I want to read what Personally, I would find the MrBeast in depth more interesting. Yeah, but with all the uncertainty and refutability of specific proof right now, this could put me in both legal and financial trouble and ruin my entire channel. And that's a completely legitimate thing for Soggy to feel there. Playing the kind of person to call me overdramatic. I don't like that he has the. Oh, I see. It's not redacted. Okay, for a second I thought he was redacting something and putting his claim there. What it is like a tagline to his names, like you would see on a script when someone walks into a room. So what he actually says, hey, I enjoy your content. I don't want to screw you over, which is why I'm being upfront about all this. However, I think you're being overdramatic.
Called me overdramatic for not wanting to spread serious accusations.
Okay, and you were being overdramatic. How is saying I did not want to make a video with unsubstantiated proof being overdramatic? Yeah, that's completely fine. I don't have a problem with making videos on this because I'm still approaching it, even though I seem swayed one way. I never really am, especially on something like this where I don't know either of the people involved. I don't know MrBeast. I've never had any desire to work with him. I never really watched any of his stuff too much. And Dogpack I only know from, you know, his videos, and I follow him on Twitter or X, but I haven't really been paying attention to that. I don't know if you guys noticed there's missiles being fired off in Europe. A little more interesting to me right now.
With unsubstantiated and easily refutable
but I did need a break, so
well
I'm here.
Because he tried to silence me with threats of slander after I started suspecting him of lying.
It's not a good sign, Dawson. It's not a good look.
I will be debunking close to every accusation he and the people he manipulated have made. But Soggy, are you going to blaze the MrBeast, Soggy? Are you going to decry the largely owning, allegedly intentionally registered sex offender hiring Mr. Soggy?
Okay, I never really got super on board with that argument about Delaware. If I seemed like I did or came off like I did, I shouldn't have, because I'm always pretty measured about just jumping into accusations like that. It's difficult to work in an industry like this and not know someone's a registered, offender, like realistically. That said, from what I've heard, there's some other stuff going on. I think the guy's brother-in-law came out and said, yeah, he was registered, but he didn't make it sound like it was really MrBeast's fault from what I can recall.
I think we can all agree that Lunchley kind of cringe. Logan Paul KSI collab.
Yeah, we can agree on the Lunchley thing.
Out of 10, okay? And the fucking mold situation, that is disgustingly messed up, and I'm never eating that shit in my life.
Okay, look, mold on cheese is not that crazy, guys. Yeah, it shouldn't be in your food, but if he's making it more healthy with less preservatives, you're gonna risk getting mold. It's what it is. You can wash mold off. I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying it's good marketing. I'm saying if it's on cheese, it's kind of expected, but not to be in something like Lunchley. I mean, so I'm not justifying it. Okay, but also it's a knockoff Lunchable. That was never a big problem for me. Sorry, I just wouldn't eat them anyway.
But that doesn't mean that just because this spiteful, vengeful ghoul accuses MrBeast of intentionally hiring a registered sex offender, that he actually did. Yeah, let's talk about the lie spun by Dogpack and Jake Weddle, that MrBeast knowingly hired a registered sex offender and while working at the company would refer to him by covert codename Delaware because of the crimes he committed there, and as a result is not allowed to go back into the state of Delaware, and that MrBeast higher-ups are using that nickname because they enjoy messed up insider jokes like that.
When I was there,
that is kind of what Jake said.
So why do you call him Delaware? I didn't know. Apparently they called him Delaware because he's not allowed to go back to Delaware. That's his nickname?
Yeah, I remember that. That was...
Yeah, it's Delaware. Don't ask him why. You know that he knew him because he'll be in videos. And whenever he is, he's wearing a mask.
Which, just saying that out loud makes it sound like a contrived side plot in a badly written Netflix series, since state banishments are extremely rare.
Yeah, that's not super common, but it does happen.
A 1-year Kentucky banishment in the year 2000. Luckily, the real story is much more boring. See, according to a anonymous MrBeast employee, Dustin Harris, who has been working at MrBeast for about 6 years and...
Okay. I know I keep cutting off. That's an important thing, the non-anonymous part. An anonymous source is only as good as you trust the source that provides it. A anonymous source gives you someone direct that is making a clear statement and putting their face and name on the line. And it says in this message, hey, Soggy, it's Dustin Harris. I've been working at MrBeast about 6 years now. I saw your slop video and wanted to help set the record straight about some of the misinformation online. To be clear, I think there's a lot of fair criticism out there. But at this point, it's majority misinformation and slander, not just against Jimmy, but against the work I do and the work my colleagues do. That's an important part, too. One thing I did when I made my video going over his employee handbook, because remember that came out. I don't know if you guys watched that, but I kind of went through and I read things. I didn't want to read the whole handbook. And one of the statements I made was, this is something I'm not going to read out all the way through. And I didn't read it all the way through myself because I didn't feel it was right. And I'm not trying to take the things and the insights that Jimmy has gathered over the years that MrBeast has gathered. I don't feel it's right for me just to take his recipe for success and emulate and steal that or take that as my own, because then it's not genuine for me. And also, it's just like a cheat code. And I also didn't want to share all of it to the public like some people did, so I only did part of it in the video to address some of the major accusations. And my overall findings were that, like, I get where he's coming from. It sounds like it's comedic, but most of it sounded legit. But that was something that Dogpack really, like, led into that I just didn't agree with. So having this kind of information from an employee, especially after Dawson had said that a bunch of people that worked there hated it and referred to Jimmy as Satan.
Went rogue because he couldn't stand Jimmy not responding to all of the misinformation being spread about not just Jimmy or the MrBeast company, but also about his own friends and colleagues. Well, he explained that Delaware was once a store manager at Jimmy's local Best Buy, which, for the people who don't know, Best Buy is a $20 billion valued electronics retailer company with stores all over the US.
It's ginormous.
When Jimmy was 19 and first started blowing up on YouTube, Jimmy realized he needed employees to improve his content. So, as a dumbass, impulsive,
why did he go to Best Buy to hire people?
Fame, he went to his local Best Buy and asked its employees if they wanted to work for it. Naively thinking that a multi-billion-dollar company would have at least made sure to not hire criminals and especially to not hire a registered sex offender as store manager, 19-year-old MrBeast didn't do background checks. Was that stupid? Yes.
Yeah.
Is Delaware a piece of shit? Yes. Should Jimmy take responsibility for making that mistake? Yes. But it wasn't this fucked up master plan by Jimmy to intentionally hire an RSO. It was a...
And that is what it came off like, realistically. It did come off that way, the way that Jake and Dogpack, Dawson, whatever, said, like the way they came out about it. It did seem like they did it maliciously and like there was some kind of sick cabal of Hollywood-style predators in the midst of MrBeast. Which is not ever a good look, mind you, but with everything that had come out about Chris Tyson, it was an easy assumption to make and for people to really glom onto. So I'm glad this is kind of straightened up. That makes a little bit more sense. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go to Best Buy to find employees. But I guess he's probably buying a lot of equipment there for starting his channel, and they know audio-visual stuff, hypothetically. That actually makes a little more sense now that I think about it. And he's 19, so he's not thinking about background checks. Okay, I can see that. I'm not going to say for sure I'm buying it, but it's a lot more realistic to me than he just maliciously hired kid touchers for the sake of hiring kid touchers. Like, he wasn't starting his own Diddy parties, you know? If he comes out with MrBeast baby oil, we'll start having a conversation about that.
A mistake by an inexperienced adolescent starting up a business. And you don't need to take mine or Dustin's word for it. If someone did but a shred of research, you'd find this still publicly available, almost 7-year-old video on the MrBeast channel, where you can see Delaware as the Best Buy store
It even says...
manager.
Hold on! Wasn't that one of the accusations made? Was that they came up with the nickname Delaware? Okay.
Delaware.
I mean, okay, to be fair, I don't remember him actually saying they came up with the nickname Delaware. I know they just said they call him Delaware, but I don't remember Jake saying that they actually came up with the nickname. So Best Buy had him down as... Is his name Delaware? Is it actually Delaware, or was he just going by Delaware with Best Buy? And he's the store manager, so... I guess it would kind of make sense that you would think that it would be a good person to hire. I don't want to overthink this part. My biggest complaint about all this was if this wasn't a true thing and a big issue, and the Ava Tyson thing, the Chris Tyson thing wasn't... It was being overblown and exaggerated. Then my big issue was how he's marketing things to kids and the lottery parts of it. And they're supposed to address that. That was the thing that I was like, okay, well, here's the questionable legality stuff. But we'll get there, I guess. That's crazy.
At MrBeast. And guess what nickname was embroidered on his Best Buy uniform?
I still can't believe that shit, bro.
Well, that was hard investigative research.
He's not allowed to go back to Delaware. You know that he knew, and because he'll be in videos, and whenever he is, he's wearing a mask. And whenever
he's not wearing a mask right there.
He's wearing a mask. He's wearing
okay, to be fair though, in that video he wasn't working there yet, right? No. He
over half a decade ago. Now, Dogpack.
Half a decade ago, Jesus.
Along the lines of,
that was before all Dawson's problems, wasn't it?
From a real MrBeast employee talking about Delaware. Do you really want me to go into detail about how you and your cronies tricked an employee into saying what you wanted him to say to support your lies, and then you guys recording him and using that recording without his consent? Okay. Hi, Garrett. Can you tell me a bit about how long you worked at
Listen, I have never watched this guy Soggy Cereal before, but I already love his delivery. This dude's sense of humor and his timing is hilarious, even though he looks kind of like Bill Skarsgård with that eye. I mean, I have a bit of a lazy eye too, but this guy's got the Skarsgård look to him. Mine's just, my whole face is partially paralyzed. I like this guy's delivery so far, and his sense of humor is it's tinging on polite sarcasm. I want to see if he gets mean sarcastic. I want to hear that accent be mean sarcastic. I know, back to the meat and potatoes. Sorry, I get sidetracked.
I was at MrBeast from around 2017 to 2021.
Nico? How the hell do you say that guy's last name?
Incredible ex-employee.
Yep.
You're the person who we can hear talk about Delaware in the recording Dawson or dogpack404's shows in his video. Can you tell me a bit about how that happened?
Yeah. It was not to my knowledge that I was being recorded.
That is so bad. Guys, if you don't know why that's bad, that's illegal. You can't record someone's audio, the audio of someone, a conversation, without their knowledge prior. Unless you have a warrant and you work in a law enforcement. And then it's kind of difficult to attain those warrants anyway, unless there's something serious. You can take video in a public place all day. I think I just did another video where I talked about this, didn't I? I feel like I just did another video where I had a conversation about this, where it came up in a completely different capacity. But yeah, you can't record. You can't just record someone's audio. It's not okay. It's not legal in America. I don't know about, I mean, this is all happening in the U.S. This isn't like a Canadian company or something where the laws might differ. But this is a big deal, and this is a digital company, so once it's over state lines, I think it becomes a federal matter. I'm not a lawyer. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I'm thinking out loud, so I apologize. We'll get back
at all. I have a friend who, I worked with plenty of times outside of MrBeast. Just thought it was just like a normal call, just checking up on him, him checking up on me. And, when two people speak about old places, there's drama, there's gossip, there's catching up, there's, et cetera, whatever. And then the next thing you know, 2 weeks later, Dogpack releases like a 12 million view video where,
that's a big video.
I just have a really crappy voice changer over my voice. And if you know me, like, you know it's me.
So was the entire call basically just rumors you were talking about with a friend?
Yeah.
That's really screwed up, because that can fuck this guy's job. That's not okay, dude. Here's my theory in life. I never want to be the guy that gets ahead by making someone else fail. I don't want to push other people beneath me to get a step up. I would rather watch everyone try to succeed and do well. I know I make content talking shit about people a lot, but it's usually because someone does something dumb or because of an accusation that comes out, and I'm wanting to look into it. This is not someone who's like Johnny Somali being stupid to be stupid and getting what he deserves. This is a fellow who didn't deserve any of this at all. And if this is true, Dogpack Dawson, whatever, should never even have broached this idea. This shouldn't even have crossed his mind. That takes a lot of his credibility directly out of his sales to me. It just does. Because if you're the kind of person that would throw someone to the bus like this without their knowledge or consent, and I know I paused this at a really unflattering time on this guy's face. For that, I apologize, Garrett. I can't pronounce your last name. I'm pretty sure it's Greek, and everything's Greek to me. But yeah, not cool beans.
Yeah, it's just a friend. We're just shooting the shit, and you know, we're just gossiping a lot, catching up on, you know, the current drama. Like, it's just it is nothing crazy. Like
nothing you said had any actual facts behind it, as they try to construe in their video.
No, I don't. You know, I don't think any of the stuff that we were talking about really had any facts or like evidence.
So
it's
it's
just
water cooler talk.
Would you say
He
that
just said
the-
water
would you
cooler
say
talk.
the call recording
Jinx, motherfucker, you owe me a
essentially in that video
non-alcoholic
has
beer.
damaged you or your life in any way?
Yeah, unfortunately, to say that it
That
hasn't
sucks.
hurt me financially would be just a lie.
That
You know,
really
mentally,
sucks.
It's hurt me as well. I mean, I was manic and crazy for about a month and a half, trying to just watch relationships like fall through my fingers.
That's
You know, I
deep
lost
betrayal,
someone
dude.
that like was pretty close to me as well. You know, it just wasn't a good scene. So financially and mentally, it really messed me up.
Do you feel in any way like tricked, deceived, or used?
I mean, yeah. To say that I felt tricked or used is an understatement. Like,
100%. This guy has a suable situation here against Dawson. He can absolutely sue Dawson because he's taken a financial hit. He's taken a personal hit. If he wants to go and get a lawyer, he could definitely sue Dawson, for sure, over that. His voice is used without his permission. Covering someone's voice like that with a fake modulator is not the same thing. You can't just fake their voice without their knowledge and say, "Well, I covered it up. How do you know it's them?" Okay, that's not a legal argument. That's not even intelligent. It's slimy. It is slimy. And this guy, I don't have any reason to doubt this guy if this is all true. Like, I have to play that, you know, scale of justice is blind thing. But justice is blind, so the scale is balanced, kind of thing. But he's showing his face and coming out and saying it, man, and that goes a lot further for me than just making accusations.
they knowingly came and did this. You know, I had like 3 or 4 contacts call me the night that it dropped, and I was watching the whole video trying to figure out like what they were talking about, and when it got to that recording, my stomach just like sank.
All because of a call that they
That's
consensually
not cool.
recorded, which you clarified was basically rumors and gossip.
Yeah, I didn't want
That's
to be involved with.
not
Didn't even know
acceptable.
what was going on. That, you know, I was just thrown into unconsensually, and yeah, you said it, man. It just it threw a pretty big wall up in the progress of my life, and I didn't feel like that was needed, and pretty upset.
But then, what about Jake the Viking's tweet about Jimmy's mom literally allowing her then barely of age son to knowingly be in contact with and hire a pedophile?
He was 19. That's not barely of age. That's a year past the legal age of consent. What are you talking about? It's almost 2 years in. Or it's over a year in. I'm sorry, not almost 2 years in. I know math good. That's a year in. He's not barely near the age of consent. He's a year past the age of the beginning of the age of consent. What do you mean? That's silly.
First of all, have you thought about just how fucking absurd that sounds? And second, Jake the Viking is a shitty person and untrustworthy.
See, I don't know
Even
that much
though
about
his
Jake the
friends
Viking,
feel
but
that.
Viking is not a good guy, and that's just an opinion based on his actions in my eyeballs.
Wow,
And my
Dogpack
eyeballs.
and Jake Weddle falsely implying MrBeast intentionally hired a registered sex offender and created a nickname to joke about it within the company to then try back up their baseless claims by tricking an employee and recording him without consent? That's pretty messed up, Soggy. Yahoo! That'd be as shameless as falsely accusing someone of committing war crimes against the Geneva Convention in a consented to solitary confinement challenge where you'd earn $10,000 a day and can quit whenever you want and still keep the accumulated prize money up until that point. During a time where we have multiple countries actively at war in the world with millions of people suffering because of it.
Including people violating the Geneva Convention daily, like China.
What? That's a war crime. We're not allowed to do that to terrorists.
That is true. I did mention that it is technically true.
24 hours breaking the Geneva Convention, I guess, is what we're doing.
You know what? Let's ask Dustin about that because
Okay, let's go into this. Jake is a stand-up comedian. He's going to say some controversial stuff. He's also, I've noticed, a very emotional person. A lot of stand-up comedians got a lot of skeletons in the closet. How do I know that? Well, your buddy Moo here does stand-up comedy occasionally. I'm not a stand-up comic. I just do it once in a while, okay? I just play one on stage. You're not likely to ever see me headline anything ever. And it's very unrealistic because I get up and I do small bits, like short bursts, because I don't even write my sets down. But I know the people, you know, it's part of who I am. Part of the crowd that I've been around for a long time. And it's a very emotional roller coaster. It breeds a lot of addicts and things like that. And I'm not saying that Jake's any of those things. I'm just saying that, you know, doesn't mean he's totally meaning what he's saying. You can't take everything to be completely serious with a stand-up comedian usually.
Ironically enough, Dustin is the good friend of Jake Weddle, who made those war crime comments. And I can prove it with Jake Weddle's own words.
One of my dear friends who I believe I lost is the same guy who did the war crime joke, which turned out to not be a joke. He got injured at MrBeast, and that's because of Viking. On that shoot, everybody else had to stay behind and clean up. And Viking said, fuck that, let's just throw all of this over the side of the mountain, like littering in a national park. And
Yeah, I
my
remember
good
this
dear
part.
friend, who I kept saying was one of the good people over there, said, you're not going to do that. I'm not going to let you do that. And Viking said, watch me. And he did it. But my friend gathered up all the stuff he could to make sure there was just that much less litter. And that's a really good thing to do. He carried everything he could down the mountain. And he
Fair.
broke his ankle. They said, yeah, you were carrying too much stuff, right? Yes, he was. Because that guy's a saint.
And blame me for our friend Dustin. I'll use names, unlike you. Our friend Dustin falling and breaking his leg, or not his leg, yeah, his ankle. I'm sorry, falling and breaking his ankle.
Now, why would someone who Jake Weddle himself, who is clearly against MrBeast, describes as one of the best people he has ever known, who literally broke his ankle trying to prevent littering, and in Jake's own words is a saint?
Because that guy's a saint.
Go rogue to try and correct defamatory statements made against Jimmy if Jimmy committed war crimes. The war crime stuff was 100% a joke. I'm now a producer, but I was originally hired as comedy writer with Jake Weddle, so I just wanted to cheer him up with a dumb and edgy joke. Oh, so it was a joke.
Counterpoint. He just got promoted. Just devil's advocate here. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. It's just something to ponder, okay?
Dustin actually did say the war crime stuff as a joke. Okay, that makes sense, because in a follow-up video of Jake Weddle's and Dogpack's interview, Jake Weddle seems to slip up, saying it was a joke.
He's the same guy who did the war crime joke.
Before quickly correcting himself.
Yeah.
Which turned out to not be a joke.
And his videos are pretty unedited, so he might have just accidentally let it slip through the cracks. And just to be clear, I'll show the clip of Dogpack's 13 million viewed video again, in which Jake and
Okay, to be fair, though, it's not that he said it was a joke and then took it back. He said it was a joke that turned out not to be a joke. So it was a joke, but the situation, though they were kidding about it, in his mind was actually a war crime. Is what he's getting at there, I think. So we're kind of jumping here, maybe a little much on Soggy's end.
Dogpack
A little bit, though. Just a little, though. Not much.
And I go up to my friend, my good friend. And I go, they're not turning the lights off. He goes, what? That's a war crime. We're not allowed to do that to terrorists. Oh, good.
The insinuation is
24 hours
there.
breaking the Geneva Convention, I guess, is what we're doing.
Okay, that still comes off as a joke, but when you hear it at first,
and in a sense, kind of
when you see what Dogpack put up there, and when you, even though it's a joke from Jake, when you see the way Dogpack put that up there, I see what Soggy's getting at. That's a very valid point, Soggy Cereal. Thank you. That's a good call.
like forced you into doing this.
But yeah, no,
Yeah,
I agree. That is very serious. That's why I alleged it. That's why I alleged it.
And viewers clearly didn't think it was a joke either. But just as I will rip into Jimmy later in this video, I'll also investigate Jake Weddle's story in more detail later in this video, because...
Okay, here's the other part. If you're the victim, you're not alleging. You're speaking about what happened to you. It's alleged if you're not in that. So if you're on the outside looking in, then it's alleged, okay? If someone comes and punches me in the face, and I tell the officer, this person punched me in the face, I'm not saying, officer, I'm alleging this guy punched me in the face, but this dude punched me in the face. To me, it's a matter of fact. The officer has to approach it as an allegation. It's very strange that Jake would say, that's why I alleged it. Did it happen or didn't it happen, Jake? You have to be more concise here. That's a problem. I don't think Soggy caught that. You don't allege something from the inside. You allege it from the outside. The victim doesn't ever allege anything. The allegations and the allegedness is when you're hearing it. To them, it's not alleged. It's fact. Or they're making it up. That's all there is to it. They're either telling the truth or they're not.
In between him falsely accusing Jimmy of intentionally hiring an RSO and comparing himself consensually agreeing to doing a challenge for $10,000 a day, being allowed to leave whenever he wants, to rape victims and victims of war crimes, even though he knew that was a joke.
The same guy who did the war crime joke.
As well as spreading fake AI-generated incriminating voice recordings of MrBeast.
Yeah, that... He did immediately after, when I saw the video anyway, I don't know if he had fixed it first. He did say it was AI in the same video. I wanted to just get to the part that I cared about, but this is a little more intriguing. However, we're a half an hour in. I don't want to do a full hour video on this, hour and a half. Good Lord.
That's right. I got that sent to me, and you know what? That was AI.
We're only 15 minutes into this.
The recording, because you work at MrBeast, and you know how people will just watch the recording and then click off of the video without ever hearing your disclaimer that it was AI generated. Oh, but then you wouldn't get as much money from views because this
I actually just watched it through. I don't
video
pass by
is the one
things,
that
guys.
got your channel monetized.
That's my brand, is being honest and crying a lot.
And then after making those slanderous claims, accept another $50,000 from Jimmy with no strings attached. There's a lot more to be said.
And he
about
said
it.
that too. He made a video about it, about how Jimmy got a hold of him.
And about how Dogpack manipulated him. But let's first continue with all of the lies and manipulation of Dogpack404. Now, for the visual learners watching, you'll see that I have behind me a wall. And this wall features
Jesus,
most
we got a long way to go in
of
this.
accusations. And I say most because at this point there are just so many that I might have forgotten a few. And every time...
Okay, guys. Here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to post this video. And then I'm going to stop. I'm going to sit and watch the rest of this. And when I find something, I will just make another video about it. Because I want to get into the rest of it. And maybe make a follow-up. I don't want to do the whole... watch this entire thing right now for an hour, and I didn't realize this video was as long when I sat down for this endeavor, and I forget how much I talk. It's a gift of the gab. It's like a kiss the Blarney Stone or something. Anyway, what do you guys think of this so far? I am very curious as to see where this goes, because some of the stuff, like the one employee, Garrett, I think his name was, that takes a lot of wind out of the sails of Dogpack404's claims, and it definitely strikes against his credibility with me. I've said it before, just talking about this kind of stuff, if you're going to go to court of law and you're trying to get a jury to convict, it needs to be beyond a shadow of a doubt. You know, the evidence, the proof is on the accuser, not the accused. You have to keep that in focus and in mind if we're going to be objective about this. Maybe a bunch of people owe MrBeast an apology. I might owe MrBeast a bit of an apology for propagating garbage. But if I did, then I definitely want to be on the end of making sure that the truth comes out in a positive. If he's totally vindicated, I want to make sure that no one questions it again. Unless it's the good reason later on. But, you know, at least on this part, I'm starting to see some cracks I've been seeing some cracks form for a hot minute. It's one of the reasons I've been sitting back and not making a lot of follow-up MrBeast videos. I'm in no way a MrBeast glazer. I'm not trying to stroke the guy's ego or anything else. But I want to make sure that if he's not guilty of being a total piece of crap, then I'm clear about that. Then I can just say, hey, he's not. This is all bad. And if these are the kind of accusations made falsely under knowledge that you're falsely making accusations, then Dogpack needs to get a bit of a boot in the butt. YouTube, I don't mean that actually physically. It's figure of speech. Okay. It's figure of speech. Get off my nuts. Anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. By the way, we blew through 100 subscribers, man. I appreciate that. I love all you guys for helping me out there. That's great. My goal is by the end of next year, not this one, we only got a month of this year left, is to hit 500 by the end of next year. If we could do that, I'd be thrilled, man. I never thought we'd get past 100, so appreciate you guys. I really love seeing the comments, by the way. Like, even if I don't agree with what you have to say, I want to hear what you have to say, because maybe you say something that I'm not really agreeing with right away, but it might chime something later on that goes, hey, this person said this. Maybe I should think about that. Keeps everybody having a good conversation. Please always keep the chats kind of chill. You know, don't get too crazy in there. I love, like, free speech, and I would hate for YouTube to come down on us because it's Thunderdome. All right. I'm Moojuicemajik, and I love you in the face. I'll catch you on the next video.